Welcome to the pre-show. This is your host, Kareem Kanji. I am flying solo today. This is the summer edition of Welcome to the Music. And today we've got two really cool guests. We have Katrina Woolverton, as well as Grammy-winning producer Val Garay. If you don't know who Val is the producer of the hit song Bette Davis Eyes. And he is coming on because Val and Katrina have collaborated on an EDM remix of the classic hit. So I'm really excited to speak to the both of them today on this episode of Welcome to the Music Summertime. And for those of you who are new here, thank you so much for joining us. And as a reminder, you can find this podcast everywhere and anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube, on iHeart, everywhere else. You can also find us online at our home, which is welcometothemusic.com. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your neighbors all about us. And please remember to subscribe so that you get all episodes on your device, free, no charge, and please rate and review. It'll help boost our ego, and it helps other people find and discover our podcast. So thank you so much for joining us, and let's get to this amazing conversation with Katrina and Val, and let's chat Bette Davis Eyes.
Hi, I'm Val Garay, and I'm a Grammy Award-winning record producer.
Hi, I'm Katrina Woolverton. I'm a singer-songwriter, and welcome to the music.
Yeah. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me, to the both of you. Thank you so much. How are things?
Good.
Excellent. You guys are in LA. Where are you?
Yes, we're in Los Angeles. We're in my studio in Topanga Canyon. Beautiful Topanga Canyon.
Nice. I am jealous. I have a sibling who lives just outside of San Diego, north of San Diego, and I'm always jealous. She's always either in the backyard pool or in the hot tub, just making me jealous. So
where are you?
I'm in Toronto, Canada.
Cold.
Yeah, it's I'm in a t-shirt today, so that's good.
Oh, that's good. I used to go up there and work. I produced a band up there for years that I used to have to go to Toronto. I used to stay at the Four Seasons right on Bloor Street. I love that place.
Who did you produce up here?
The Nylons.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's a fantastic, but yeah. That's amazing. Katrina, have you been up to Toronto?
I have been through Canada. I've done some vacationing up there, and I had some dates with Meatloaf scattered throughout Canada, and it was a ton of fun. This one show we had was where the oh my gosh, no, it's not the Ontario Reign. It's we played where the hockey, we performed where they had the hockey players, and I remember opening a door to my dressing room, one of the interior doors, and it led into their fitness room. And I went, oops, and we all just kind of went, oops, and then I closed the door again. But, luckily, everyone was glad.
Okay, I was going to ask you, what was happening in that fitness room?
Oh, they were just getting fit. Nothing untoward, no details other than we both surprised each other. I was looking for the restroom, and it was behind a different door.
Nice. Well, listen, the both of you, I have to commend you on this new version, re-release of Bette Davis Eyes. Fantastic version. I really, really loved it. I think it goes, I love the original as well, so I think that helped as well. But The new version is amazing. So, Katrina, your voice is I don't want to say haunted, but it's like it pulls you in. That's what it did to me. Pulled me in, and Val, your production on it, first class, as
Thank-
always.
Well,
Thank
now
you.
it's like I did both, the original and this one. I don't know how many people
Yes.
40 years apart do that, but I'm one of them.
And I want to ask you about that, but let me lead with this. This is not the first time that you've worked together, Val. You produced Katrina's debut album. It seems like forever ago.
15 years ago.
Yeah. So why? So my question is, why? Maybe both of you could answer this. Why now, and why this song?
Well, I'm going to let her answer that because it was her idea. And from the freshman album that she did with me, her first big record, she kind of did things in reverse, because most artists, when I work with them, have been around the block a lot.
Okay.
And she had done a lot of stuff when she was a kid, when in like 11 or 12, she was on Star Search and she won and all that kind of stuff. But
So like 10
then
years
there's a
ago.
big gap between that and when I started working with her. And so she hadn't really done that end of it. So when we did that record and finished it, and was very successful, and we had, 3 big singles on it, and the first dance record that she ever did, which is called a song we wrote called OPM, which means Other People's Money. And that was mixed by Dave Audet, who was the famous remixer at the time and still is. And when we got done, she sort of went out and started doing things on her own. She started writing more. She started working with other producers and other writers and co-writers. And she kind of did all that part of it after that, which most people have done all that before I get with it. So she kind of did it in reverse. And then when she decided she wanted to do this record, I'll let her explain to you how that all came about and why she came and approached me.
Yeah.
So, in looking back at everything, it feels like the stars just aligned that this was the right time to redo this song. And I also didn't realize how much all the work I had done in between when we worked with each other first and now had influenced the way that you saw me as an artist and as a singer and a songwriter. I mean, you talk about it sometimes and I'm almost in awe because of everything Val's done. And also because he's my friend, so sometimes when he speaks about me professionally, like I'm not here about how proud he is and how impressed he was, I have to take a step back and go, wow, this is the Val Garay talking about me. I think it's hard sometimes for us to look at what we've done as an accomplishment instead of, how much more we want to do and what we feel like we have left to do to feel like we've done something significant. But all of that has made a really positive impact on me. And also working with him the first time around opened a lot of doors for me. People were so impressed that Val Garay did my first record. So I was able to get in the room with songwriters and producers and collaborators who, maybe otherwise would not have given me a second look, or even some of the artists I opened for. Having Val's name as a part of my early career credits gave a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah. So people thought, well, she must be okay. Val Garay worked with her. So I, as far as Val saying yes to this, I kind of knew better than to ask because I've heard him say no to so many people with names much bigger than my own along the way to this point. But I think just the combination of how you felt about what I've done so far and the way I talked about the new project and my vision for the new project.
Well, I knew she could sing. That was the key. I mean, that, she's got the pipe.
Sure.
So that isn't the question. And if you're going to tackle a song like Bette Davis Eyes, if I was going to do it with somebody other than the original artist I did it with, it's like you couldn't do better.
Thanks,
she's
Val.
got that voice.
That's amazing.
So let her finish.
Just when I thought I couldn't love you more, you say something like that. So when we sat down, and how we got to the point of me having the vision for the project is a completely different thing. But when we did sit down and we talked about it, and I gave him how I had visualized it to be sonically, because we were doing a whole album, he loved it. And he said, yeah, I could picture that. We should do that. And that just kind of came out. I go, and we should do Bette Davis Eyes. And then I almost couldn't even believe I said it. And he goes, so you want to do one of my biggest hits ever, if not my biggest hit? And I said, yeah, why not? And he thought about it. And then he said, yeah, let's do it. And I think it was just perfect timing to bring it into a new iteration of pop music, which EDM and dance is, we both agree, is definitely leaning into being a very significant lane within pop.
The next iteration of pop music, I think. But the other thing I want to mention in that whole thing is, you know, I've turned down, I can't tell you how many major artists that wanted to recut that song. And
But do tell us, like, I know you say you don't want to, but like who? Like,
I don't mention names. Let me just say this: big people that I didn't want to even think about doing it, because it's such an iconic record.
yeah,
It's so important to that era, and it was such a big hit. I mean, it's the 5th biggest single in the history of the business. I mean, I beat John Lennon for the record of the year. I mean, it's huge. I mean,
yeah. Who was up for record of the year that year?
Sorry?
Who was up for record of the year?
John Lennon for that last album he did while he was he finished while he was murdered.
Yeah.
Lionel Richie and Diana Ross, Endless Love from the Endless movie. Grover Washington Jr. and Quincy Jones.
Wow. Heavy hitters.
Yeah. So
Heavy hitters.
and you know, and I was like, I can't do that. I can't go there. I mean, you know, you would never see Paul McCartney redo Yesterday. I mean, it's just not going to happen. I mean, you're not going to recapture the magic in that bottle that happened at that moment in time, because it was all part of that moment in time. So when she said to me an EDM dance record, now that really fascinated me, because now I could change a lot of things in it and still have the essence of the song the way that I envisioned it when I did it with originally with Kim Carnes. So that's why I said yes, because it's a totally different lane. You can speed the song up. It's all drum and rhythm driven, and the synthesizing stuff is all completely different. But when you listen to it, you still get an essence of the original record in some strange way. I don't know how I managed to do that, but you do.
Yeah. So Katrina, was that like a throwaway question? Were you expecting him to say no, or did you really want to do a version?
You know, it's so interesting because I replay it in my mind a lot because it's such a significant moment in time, really. It wasn't a throwaway, but I just had this feeling he was going to say yes. I don't know why. And I'm getting the chills just saying that, but I really had this feeling you were going to say yes, because it's so different. This EDM genre it actually is kind of the perfect destination for all the things Val has accomplished so far, and how masterful he is at Pro Tools and finding ways to create sounds before those sounds even existed, or, you know, samples weren't really a thing.
No, there was no such thing as samples. I mean, you know, you talk about taking a vocal lick and moving it in a song somewhere, it takes 3/100 of a second. Yeah. When I added the yodel at the end of Only the Lonely in the Motel song, where she does that yodel, it was 4 takes later that she happened to do that. And I went, wow, that's really cool. And I went in and bounced it from the multi-track to a 2-track, and then lined the 2-track up with the multi-track with the take that I wanted it on. And it took me like 3 hours to get it to bounce into the right place at exactly the right time. That's
nowadays
Pro Tools that takes 3 seconds.
So EDM is really, in a lot of ways, producers like taster's choice, or am I putting that right? Like it's your ultimate vision for whatever you can navigate within the Pro Tools system.
Well, yeah, and there's no boundaries in EDM. That's
Right.
the thing that's great about it.
And
You know,
also,
you can get as crazy as you want or get as uncrazy as you want. Whereas pop music has so many barriers. You know, you can't do this, you can't do that. You know, it just goes on for days. So EDM, it's like a free form, you know, free for all. Just go get what you want. And to me, that's what, you know, the musical expression was all about when I started making records in the 60s. So to be able to do that now, it's fantastic. And that's what attracted me to doing this project.
Is that where you said earlier, Nylons you worked with, Linda Ronstadt, James Taylor, Kim Carnes, of course. Do you see EDM and dance music sort of as your, I don't know if lane is the correct term, but do you see that as where you want to play today and moving forward?
Well, until she came to me to ask me to do this, I had never thought of it,
Okay.
I had never listened to it even. So I had to do a lot of quick catching up, She gave me like 10 songs, and then I went to Spotify and got the top 10 songs of last year from EDM, which is, the biggest one was Kylie Minogue and that Padam Padam record.
Bravo, Kylie. We love you.
Yeah, great record. And, Fred, she loves Fred. I love Fred. Fred's great. Fred he's the biggest outlaw in EDM, I think. And so listening to this stuff, I did my homework and, and as I said to her, when she asked me, can you do this? I said, it's music. You got 8 notes in the scale. I mean, music and records and recording is all about arrangement and, sonic. So, I could do, if I can do Blue Bayou with Linda Ronstadt and December 63, Oh, What a Night with the Four Seasons, and then do 4 heavy metal records with Gene Simmons and all these, completely digressed things, why couldn't I do this? I could, and I am, but it's an interesting transition.
And Katrina, why, if we put aside Bette Davis Eyes, let's imagine a alternative timeline where he says, yeah, let's leave Bette Davis Eyes for later. What was it about his work? And maybe it was, working with him previously, but what was it about his work that you felt comfortable that he could bring your vision to life or line up there?
First of all, there's a lot of trust between us.
Okay.
A safe environment. On top of it all, Val's a perfectionist. No one tracks a vocal like Val. And if you're going to have a vocal that is going to be a feature of an EDM record, you want it to sound like it sparkles. And Val just has that magic. His process of tracking a vocal is like no one I've ever worked with. And I've worked with some pretty cool people. But also, when I first came up with the concept of this being my next project, and Val was, I shared it with a friend who's in the EDM world, but doesn't do what Val does, because I trusted his feedback. First, it was my husband, and he said, that's great. So we bounced the idea off of a friend of ours who's heavy in the dance world, but not a Val Garay. And then when I sat with Val and I told him what I envisioned, he just was right there with me. And I knew that more than anyone, he would help me bring that vision to life, and that it would be a truly collaborative process, which it is, and that he was going to bring a very technical aspect to what we needed to make this a beautiful album. And he also trusts me as far as, sounds, or if I wanted to, modify something, or they came with an idea. And so the relationship is there, the trust is there. And
she has great ideas. It's when you listen to Bette Davis Eyes, the spoken parts where it goes Bette Davis, that was her idea. And it's funny because my wife played it for her 2 nieces who are 7 and 11. And they were just walking around the house the whole time going, Betty, Davis, which, that was not in the original record at all, but that was her idea. And so she has great ideas along those lines. And she, even though she doesn't have the technical side, like I do, because she's not an engineer, but she has a way of communicating her ideas, and I have a way of understanding them because we have had this dialogue for a lot of years. So it's a good combination that way.
But I just really love working with Val, and even just the idea of doing another project together seemed really exciting. And for him to want to do this particular one with me, I just thought this is perfect. And I depending on what comes up next in the pipeline, I don't see why we wouldn't do another one.
Yeah.
Are there any other Katrina, any other classic songs that you'd like to reimagine? Or Val, are there any other classic songs?
We are doing 2 more or 3 more classic songs, maybe 4, in this EDM fashion. And the reason for that is not because we can't write, because we're going to write some original stuff too. But the fun of this is, if you've noticed in the pop world, they've started to digress to 1975 to 2000 in terms of music, because kids are finally getting hip to the great writers and the songs of those eras. And one of the 2 classic examples of that is, have you heard this little girl who sings the Can't Take My Eyes Off You? I love you, baby. And if it's
I know that song, yeah.
Just sings that over and over again, the chorus of
Okay.
Can't Take My Eyes Off. She doesn't sing the verses at all. And that's a hit. And then Hands on Me, which is a rewrite and re-record of Stand By Me, which is exactly the same as the original song, except they changed the lyrics to Hands on Me instead of Stand By Me. And it's a big hit again. And they had to credit the original writers because they didn't rewrite the song. They used the same exact melodic structure. So people are starting to sneak into that world, and I don't think it's a bad idea, because there's all those great songs that were recorded then, that why couldn't we do them again in a different style?
All right.
So before we jumped into this, I had enough material written down for at least a whole album of original songs in this genre.
Okay.
And I just kept going with that. So now I easily have enough for 2 albums in this, like, ideas that were specifically geared towards this kind of music. But, I just have to say that Val has spilled some tea here for you, because he hasn't said to anyone yet, you're the first person.
Well, he asked the question.
Well, I know,
Exclusive.
but other people have asked.
We didn't give him any titles.
Well, I didn't say titles, but you just gave more information than he has in any of our interviews up until this point. So just want to say that's kind of a big deal. And I find it exciting. I love that you just spilled the tea right here.
Okay.
That's good.
Well, let's spill some more. Can you say any titles? Just between us, just between friends.
Between us.
What's that?
He wants you to give him a title.
Can
Can I give him a hint though?
Well, when you say just between us, you're going to put this out on the internet, so it's not going to be just between us. So no, I don't think we should do that. But you'll love them, I'm telling you.
When can people expect this? Will this be part of the album? Will it be part of an extended album?
It's going to be an album, and it'll come out next year.
We're dropping another single in November.
Yeah, we're dropping another single in November.
Original stuff? Cover?
A
cover? Katrina's excited.
I love it. You're getting him to tell you all sorts of stuff.
Song. He's got no title.
But you know what though? I could tell Val's having fun right now.
Val, he wants to say it. He wants to say it. We'll stop recording and then you can tell me. But that's fine. Listen, our time is almost up. I want to ask both of you a question. We ask this question of all our guests at the end. We love discovering music, both from our guests as well as what our guests are listening to. So if I could ask you both, what are you listening to these days when you're in the car driving along the highway with the ocean outside, or or wherever it is, what's blasting in your speakers in your car? What's in your earbuds these days? Val, you want to go first, or Katrina? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll go.
All right.
I listen to classic rock, which I have never listened to, but I started listening to it. And I
Okay.
listen to electronic dance music.
Together,
Those,
both. I can see that.
yeah, those are the two things that I've been listening to in my Tesla, driving down the coast highway with the stereo blasting in my car. And it has a
Nice.
great stereo in it too.
All right. That's a little plug for Tesla there. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I've owned every car made. Trust me when I tell you everything you can imagine. It's the greatest car I've ever owned.
All righty. Katrina, what are you listening to these days?
I have been listening to Rufus Du Sol on repeat. Obviously, Fred Again, Gorgon City, and Kylie's Padam is sometimes it just goes over and over. I just can't get enough of that. And I've also been listening to Robert Miles, Dreamland, even though it's not new. To me, it's a great classic EDM record, and it takes you on this journey from beginning to end. It just feels really good, and I feel excited and peaceful at the same time. So that's, if you're pulling up next to me on PCH, chances are I'm listening to that.
Nice. That is awesome. Both of you, Val, Katrina, thank you so much for joining me. This has been fun. This has been an honor. Before I let you go, where can people go to listen to your music, to find out more about what's going on, whether it's tours or new releases? Where's the best place or the best places they can go? Katrina?
So my Instagram and formerly Twitter, now X, is at Katrina Music. My Facebook is Katrina Fan Page, but my website's really easy. It's my first and last name.com. It's katrinawoolverton.com. So if you're not into those other socially things, you could just go to my website, or there's always lots of fun stuff on Instagram, and I have a really cute little dog and a beautiful sailboat, and those sometimes sneak their way into my feed. So there's that. That
is amazing.
Yeah, and mine, Instagram is VAL LTD or Val Limited. My Facebook is Val Garay, and my website is valgaray.com.
Val, Katrina, again, thank you so much. I'll make sure to put links in our show notes to all of that. Congrats on the song, Bette Davis Eyes. Fantastic. And look forward to hopefully speaking with the both of you sometime soon again. Maybe in November after the new song.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.